The recording is in progress. We have live translation going on. If you can see that in the room. We have captions on the Zoom, so I apologize you're not getting this in Chinese right now, but you can, if you mess with your Zoom settings, you could get this in Chinese. We've got some wonderful young people here who have developed some amazing software that's going to make this presentation tonight available. Obviously in English is what I'm speaking, but the subtitles are being translated into Spanish and traditional Chinese. So thank you very much. I am Alderwoman Nicole Lee of the 11th Ward. I'll stand up, sir. I'm the Alderwoman of the 11th Ward, and you are here at the Pui Tak Center in Chinatown. Thank you very much. David Wu, where are you? David is the Executive Director of the Pui Tak Center. Who's generously offered the space to use for tonight's meeting. We've got several guests with us here tonight, and I'm very excited. I'm going to just get this off of the screen and go on to the agenda, which we can go to the next slide, guys. We'll jump right in. I'm going to start with some neighborhood updates, take a few questions if you've got them. Then we're going to move on to public safety with Commander Mullinex, and we've got a see something here. We have the Commission on Chicago Commission on Human Relations as well. It's going to be right after Commander Mullinex. And then there's still some time working on Q&A. So I'll start off with just a few neighborhood updates, and we'll talk a little bit also about some city council updates. I don't know if you've been watching the news, you might have some questions about some things that are going to field those. But first I want to talk about residential parking for the Ramova Theater and if you advance 2 slides, you'll see a map, guys. There you go. So we have proposed residential permit parking for these areas in red and blue. I introduced an ordinance to the city council last week that would formalize this. We still have time to make some tweaks, and we will be additional community of these areas. The Ramova Theater here located and hosted just south of 35th Street. We also have the Arts Complex, which is on 37th and 7th Street. Both of these venues host events. It's kind of their reason. So concerts, theater, city of town as well. There have been a number of already. The Arts Complex has been operating for some time. So we have fielded requests from residents in the area. State residential property to protect their forgetful in the evening, and if there's a concert or an event going off, it's happening great. So there's spillover street. So in order to prevent residential parking, I am proposing a residential permit parking. 2 different zones. Right, it would be west of Holstead, and go from Holstead all the way to Oregon to cover the areas that are affected and impacted by complex. As far north, I believe, is 34th. Yes, 34th and 33rd. Sorry, and as far is 30. So west of Halstead would be again all the way to east of Halstead would be all of Union. We're going to try to we're going to see how that feels. You know, folks so far live in the area. Experience has been as far concert nights and we have some parking issues, so you're going to see a much better presence of police as well as streets and sanitation traffic services with tow trucks. So if you're in the area, or actually at any time, please don't park in any tow zones. If you're blocking a fire hydrant, or bus stop, or if you are actually in a tow zone, the tow trucks are. There will be opportunities to weigh in against residential parking permit. But this point has been introduced, and we don't make any other changes to it. We go to the full city. So we'll take a little bit of time for our but just know that that's coming. There is an additional $25 fee that's tagged on. If you're in one of these impacted areas, you'll receive something from the Department of Finance once everything is approved, letting you know what the process is going to be and what's to be posted. We can go to the next, nope, go back for me. You can tell I did this presentation a little late this morning. I'm going to talk about two things from the city council. It's probably that I'm happy to answer questions about. First is the additional $70,000 approved by the city to fund the migration community. I did vote yes on this item. This was the first time that there was state and county money that was going to be coming as well. And city funding was going to be the first step in that. You know, the city and the state and the county together, they're forecasting possibilities. We don't know how many people are going to continue to be up here, but you know, that could be tens of thousands of people. In fact, you know, we're forecasting closer to 40,000 in this year, and in to accommodate having to deal with all of this in an organized fashion and in a humane way, and for everybody's safety, we have to do something to do that. You know, my priority will be the safety of your community and everybody that's here doing it. So in order to do that, to make sure that we're supporting initiatives that will provide shelter, housing, for those that are seeking the city, and making sure that we don't have a situation where people are being intense. Police stations are in our curves. We know that the weather is pretty harsh. It's in summer, sure. It's not to be sleeping on something certain to. I certainly don't want to see that happening again. So we're doing it all possible to make sure that we have the funding available to make sure that folks are sheltered and being taken care of as we continue to deal with this crisis, not of our making, but obviously we're here to deal with it. I'm really happy that the state and county are also contributing to this and we work together in a manner to help everybody. The other item that we voted pretty big in the city council last week was a $1.25 billion bond deal that we just passed the city council, and I also voted yes on that. In short, it will be it's meant to replace expiring TIFs. If you don't know what a TIF is, I'm not going to go into detail, but it's a way that the city has used to fund different projects in different parts of the city that hasn't been all that effective. So I think get there. The funds need to be spent over 5 years. It's split between housing, affordable housing initiatives, and economic development. I'm interested in both. And from an economic development perspective, what this means is if you were previously, if you are not currently in a TIF district, it's a little map that we draw and say, you know, whatever the taxes are that we're making on top of whatever the base year was, we're going to set aside so that we can do economic development in this area. So if you're across the street from the TIF, you just fall outside of it, you don't get to access any of those funds. So it hasn't really been a really fair way to do this, and a lot of places in the world would love to have also outside TIF. Right here in Chinatown, part of the red line extension, which is funding the construction of the but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's opportunities for our city to move some money around to get it here. What this bond allows us to do is it does opportunities for organizations across the city and no geographic restriction for economic development. I'm going to pause there for a second to see if anybody's got any questions. Been doing a lot of talking. Yes, yeah.
You may have said, so when it comes to the Renova and the special events, is that like stop staying or only during events?
No, this would be residential permanent parking. Yes, and let's explain to you why that is. So it was suggested at some point that we look at maybe leveraging the existing footprint of the subs event parking. I didn't want to do that, and I'm talking to some constituents too, because that Sox parking stickers and parking passes are distributed pretty widely across the ward. And I think that it would do little ultimately to protect the residential parking of people that live within walking distance of the Morgan Arts Complex and theater. We've got a lot of people that work different shifts at night. And these are people who have walked in and talked to us about the theater is causing great parking, they come home for work. We've been talking about residential parking for something. So we're gonna give that a try. But the residential parking would be 24% essentially. So this would be set up so that we don't have to worry about sort of going, because that's the other thing we would need to know. Like it have to be posted someplace. The White Sox are a little bit different. It's a baseball stadium. This specifically is to protect the residents in that particular. Go ahead.
Jason Ross. Is there gonna be like a square calendar box together for each department? Outside.
It's a case by case basis, like, so if we've got a question about it, to talk to you about it, so. If, let's say, if you lived on a corner. This wasn't on the actual street that was, that the permit ordinance is written for. We could do an exception for you, if that was the case. The whole point of this is to not make exceptions though, so we try to do that very judiciously. So if you take a look at the map, we'll again post this online so that people can see it. If you've got a question or close to it and you'd like some consideration for maybe expansion of the zone so that you were included. So we're happy to talk to you about. Is there one question behind?
Yeah, I have a question. I've been there. The combination of legal aid with the CTA oversight. Is there wondering the state of all of that, because based on the recent, and with everything going on with the CTA and the governor kind of questioning the leadership at the CTA, and the recent block of article about Michael Eddy not necessarily having any qualifications with the CTA and he's kind of political. I'm wondering the reasoning why voted to approve this appointment.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I appreciate it. I don't serve in the transportation committee, so I didn't actually vote in the committee. And I did because I was at council and the vote was passed, based on the first favorable vote for the finance committee. That was certainly a favor for deal. And to be honest with you, I didn't necessarily, it wasn't on my radar, so that's on me. I serve on 7 different committees, and generally speaking, I do attend other committee meetings that I ever sit on. For the cleaning affordable building, very something serve the committee item. This was one that I just frankly didn't see the meeting. But I understand the question. And since all of this has happened, I think the rest of us have come as well. I think that the topic of CTA is going to be something to continue to see. We need better reliable service, safe and reliable products for us. We have a world-class transit system that isn't being utilized for very reasons, whether that's reliability or safety. Those are things that we need CTA to address. Thank you for the question. Yes, Maggie.
So this, the TIF money, 1.5, is that coming from the current TIF bank accounts?
So,
And are they phasing them out then?
yeah, so, the bond issuance is basically a loan that we're taking, right? So we're gonna pay that loan back based on, we're assuming that we're gonna be, what we call sunsetting. tax increment financing districts, TIF districts that are coming, that are expired. I think that there are 45 expiring in the next 5 years. So the idea is that, because the TIF funds have been as a committee, this gives us a lot of for geographic fund, to fund projects that, are ready to.
Is there then going to be some kind of bound so that we see where the money's gonna be spent?
Oh, yes, thank you for that question. It was one of the things we really insisted on. What we will is quarterly, that originally it was maybe annual. So that's something, we have to be able to, see what's happening, and then I don't want to be one of the folks, so city council oversight is set. And what the city council approved set at 5. So at any point that is 5. The strong. Will come to the full city council for other. Those funds were being used to. For. No, we did try to lower the threshold. We defeat, and then those motions. Ultimately, I still don't think it's on this because this time is like the city, I think was gonna be very important to, in my salary. Some of my colleagues have been keeping a close eye. This is being spent because if after a year, we don't like, we see that it's being done. Nothing stopping us from proposing that this is a purpose to lower the control. Another city. Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna keep moving here. I wanted to talk to you, a fun update. Was recently had their paid, so if you couldn't just look at the line, fun. The freshly paid walking track, the driveway, up to the front entrance, also been paid. I think that people were a little scared because it was done in 2 phases and then the driveway was done, the track was done, but it is all completed now. You're also gonna see some little changes. Spring, days, for the full instructions, but we are people. So probably the sports, fields will be converted to. So keep in mind, that's the fun update for Armour Square. The last neighborhood update is gonna be about participatory budgeting. And I think we have folks here. For participatory budgeting, I'm just, one day at a time, and you're talking to come on in. I'll just hand you the mic.
Yeah.
And you can introduce yourself, please.
Hi. My name is Third. This is our. Learning particularly good. People from. People from the Chinatown area. Definitely some. We got a couple members here. You see me, let me know that you're available. We can take information. Looking at. Primarily we have is this is coming from Department of Transportation money. 3,000. Essentially. That the infrastructure recycling and beautification in your. Quietly. Since it's the first year. We want to put in. Being easy thing like. In. Irrigation, things like that, and do want to look at larger pedestrian infrastructure. Off street. Protected by. So, again, in the first years of planning. Figuring out.
Thank you, and I'll put another plug in, because we do want representation from all parts of the ward. We're a little Bridgeport heavy, not that there's anything wrong with that, we just have a lot of really enthusiastic people. But we'd love to have representation from every part of the ward, so if you're here from Chinatown or Armour or McKinley Park or Canaryville, we'd love to have you join our group. Because this is the first time we've done this where we're opening up menu dollars, and just to give you a sense of size and scope, 300,000 is out of a $1.5 million budget for the ward. So we're really excited to have the community participate. This team has been working very hard, and they've been doing a lot of research and collecting information about where some of the trouble spots are that they're going to be proposing a slate of improvements to be made with these funds. So if you don't join the committee, you should absolutely make sure you cast a vote. Keep an eye out for when we put out our participatory budgeting ballots, and make sure that you make your voices heard.
Yeah. One. Frame.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
They will be around if you want to talk to them after the meeting as well. If we're to move on to public safety updates, I'm going to hand it over to Commander Mullinex. You can grab that microphone, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, I'm Commander Curtis Mullinex of the 9th District. I've been in that role almost a year now. So just some quick updates, both through the ward and through the entire district. We have seen a good downturn this year in motor vehicle thefts. Very happy about that. Robberies, and shootings, so that's not something that plagues the 11th ward so much, but the district as a whole. So crime is trending in the right direction. Unfortunately, we are seeing a rise in burglaries. I mentioned that only, that's a very small rise, but it's just something to keep aware of. Always make sure you're aware of your surroundings and make sure you lock your doors, because a lot of our burglaries are not where people are actually breaking into houses. They're just opening doors that are left unlocked or open. So make sure that you're closing your doors and locking your doors. Look out for your neighbors. One thing I do want to point out, especially in light of recent events, carjackings. People are waiting, let's say, people with bad intent are waiting for people to pull into certain areas, and then it's just a crime of opportunity. They're generally not targeting anybody specific. They're just looking for somebody to pull up who's not being aware. So whenever you pull up to your parking space in front of your wherever you're going, just make sure you take a look and see who's around you, what's around you, and maybe if you have that feeling, that chill up your spine, maybe park somewhere else or go around. We are doing our best to address this, but it is one of those crimes of opportunity that's often hard to stop, to prevent. So just please be aware of your surroundings at all times. That's all I have, but I'd be happy to entertain questions.
Yeah, I'll toss one up to you.
Okay.
With the carjackings and catalytic converter thefts, we're seeing a lot. We're continuing to see people commit these crimes armed with guns. What's your advice for people about how to handle those situations? I recently saw someone, a student at the University of Chicago, fought somebody off, and they literally had a gun. I don't think we would recommend that sort of reaction to it, but I think none of us know how we're going to react in a situation. But tips for people, other than having some situational awareness, but if you are presented with a situation like this, what's your advice?
Thank you very much for the question. It's a good question too, and I won't just give you. If someone came up to me that had a gun, I would give them whatever they asked for, because honestly, it's not worth. You may get lucky trying to fight back, but more than likely, that's not the way it's going to turn out. So I would just recommend that if someone approaches you with a gun, do your best to whatever they're asking for. They want your keys, give them your keys. Your life's not worth your car. Your life is not worth your wallet. Some people think their phone is worth their life, but it really isn't. You can replace those pictures, you can replace those contacts, but if someone comes up to you armed with a gun, assume that it's real. Don't think that you see the little red paint on the end that used to be a water gun or something. Don't take chances. I would seriously recommend against fighting back if you are not, even if you are trained. I mean, you have to take that into consideration. But if you're not trained, my recommendation is walk away with your life, even if you lose your possessions.
Thanks. Recently, in the last, I think, week or two, there was an attempted child luring case in Canaryville, and I know that there's been some chatter around social media around this. Do you have any updates on that? Or we've got kids here in the room today. We've probably got parents that are listening. Can you talk a little bit about whether or not there's been any movement or on that investigation?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to say that the children in that case, they're all safe and fine. They did the exact right thing. I think that parents and schools are teaching kids very well what they need to do if someone comes up trying to get them into a car. So first off, I want to commend these children for doing the right thing and getting away from that situation. We are using our SDSC room, which is our technology room, to track the car to make sure we know where it's coming from. Unfortunately, these investigations take time and they're very, it is a lengthy process, but we do have the detectives working on it right now. I'm not at liberty to give any updates per se on the case as they continue through it. But it's something we take extremely seriously. Any crime against children is very high on our priority list.
Any questions from the audience? Go ahead. And actually, Annie, can you stand up? I'll hand you a microphone because the people online can't hear. I'm sorry, I totally, yes, no, absolutely. We want to hear the questions that are being asked, of course.
At the recent quarterly meeting, that's Helen speaking, he talked about there is additional training for pretextual novels and in for drivers. We have a recent where we wanted to talk about the city of where they receive, how many promoters it look like, how many district perspective. If you were to see them, limiting pretextual styles, what that looks like and receiving it, any information about it.
Okay, thank you for the question. I appreciate that. I don't want to step on Superintendent Snelling's toes or anything. We do receive training on a yearly basis concerning the constitutionality of not only vehicle stops, but also street stops. It is always emphasized during those times. We emphasize de-escalation techniques. We emphasize, taking your time with the stop, making sure that it is a constitutional stop. We believe, and the police department totally believes in constitutional policing. We do everything we can to not only train people in the academy, but to provide yearly training that enforces and reinforces every year, because that is a very important thing for us. Not only because it leads to danger to citizens, it also leads to danger for us as well. So we always try to make sure that we do that within the bounds of the Constitution and the laws of the state of Illinois.
Kurt, can you share how many hours of training on an annual basis officers receive?
Yes. So we are mandated by the consent decree to receive 40. I'm sorry, I should have followed up. 40 hours of training every year. There's 8 hours that is dedicated every year to these use of force and constitutional policing stops. This year, because of the DNC, there's a lot of additional training we're getting. I believe that I'm at somewhere close to 80 hours already this year. So training is a constant and ongoing endeavor.
And I'll just put another plug in for if you see something, say something. I mentioned the video that I saw in the news, and some of you may have seen that, of the young lady at the University of Chicago who was someone attempted to mug her and she fought back. there were probably 3 other people in this video frame sitting there just watching, not moving a muscle, or calling the police. Nobody needs to get involved and jump in the middle of a crime being committed. But if you see something, please say something and report it. If you hear gunshots and you're not sure if they're gunshots, call 911. It doesn't hurt to do that, and do that, we create some data points so that we do have more information available for the police to allocate their resources as well. So nothing is too small. If you're concerned about something, dial 911. That is, I hear a lot from people that they don't want to bother the police with it. The police, the call takers will determine whether or not, you know, something's urgent enough to deploy resources to. That's why if you call for, let's say, someone's parked in front of a fire hydrant, that's gonna be a really low priority for the beat car that night, but they'll get around to it eventually. I don't know, Kurt, if you want to talk a little bit about, just as we're getting into warmer weather, as we're heading into the DNC, what resources look like from a CPD perspective, and how some of that training is going for the DNC.
The training is, as I said, it's ongoing, constant. We're receiving a lot of training this year, specifically designed for the upcoming Democratic National Convention. Not only constitutional policing, de-escalation techniques, use of force, but also so we can better protect assets and people. One thing that the police department very much believes in is giving everybody a chance to have their say and have their voice. But we always have to maintain that into some kind of peaceful atmosphere. So we are receiving a lot more training in that vein this year, just to make sure that if something were to happen, and I don't think that it will, but if something were to happen, that we could respond not only constitutionally, but with a minimum amount of force to allow people to exercise their right to free speech.
Great. Any other questions? I guess you get to sit down now, Kurt. Thank you. Yeah, you're gonna pass it over to Norman. And while we're on the subject of public safety, we've invited Norman White from the Chicago Commission on Human Relations to talk about the new hate crimes ordinance. There have been some changes recently to the hate crimes ordinance. Norman is our resident expert, so I'm handing it over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? First of all, I'd like to thank Alderman Lee for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to be here. Like Alderman Lee said, I work for the Chicago Commission on Human Relations. Does anybody know, has heard of the Chicago Commission on Human Relations?
I don't count.
All right, we have one hand over here. Well, let me tell you, we're the city's best kept secret. We want to get a word out. Would anybody care to guess what we do in the city? Okay, no problem. That's what I'm glad I'm here. Well, we're the city civil rights agency. For example, our agency is divided in 2 sections. We have an adjudication section and we have our intergroup relations section. Now, the adjudication section is when the people come to us. What do I mean by that? For example, if somebody feels that they've been discriminated in the areas of housing, public accommodation, or employment because of their race or national origin, sexual orientation, they can file a complaint at our office for free. They can come in or they can do it online. We have, for example, we have investigators that'll sit down with you and they'll investigate. If there's enough evidence that you've been discriminated against, they will file a complaint for you and it's all free. It has to happen in the city of Chicago. Sometimes people feel that if they don't live in the city of Chicago, they don't come, but we do have people. We do have people that come and play in the city. And so if they feel that they've been discriminated against, they can file a complaint with our office. Now, I work for the intergroup relations part of the commission, and pretty much we go out to the community. For example, if there are community tensions based on race, sexual orientation, et cetera, in the communities, we have a team of, pretty much a small team of people that would go intervene and try to mediate the situation. What I specifically do is I'm the hate crime victim advocate in the city of Chicago. Let me ask a question and I show of hands. Does anybody know what a hate crime is? Okay, we got one hand here, got a couple of hands. Well, let me just define what a hate crime is. And I'm gonna read it so I don't miss. A hate crime is a criminal act motivated by bias against someone's race, color, gender, identity, age, religion, disability, national origin, ancestry, or sexual orientation. Pretty much, it's a crime plus hate equals a hate crime. For example, most of the times, I'll tell you how it works. For example, if a hate crime happens and the police are called, they call the police on the spot, flag it down, and it goes into a special unit within the police department that's called a civil rights unit. Once they get it, then my office gets it, and what we do is we do the victim support. For example, we contact the victim, we let the alderman know that a hate crime has happened in their ward. And if the victim needs additional resources or any help, we provide that for them. If somebody is arrested, then we go to court and we do the victim support right there. For example, this morning, I don't know if you guys heard recently in the news that there was a school up on the north side that they put swastikas on the school. Well, that individual was caught. I was in court this morning with 2 police officers tracking the case. So for example, if there's a case that hits the court system, we track it from the moment it hits the court system until there's some sort of resolution. So, and that's pretty much what I do, let me tell you. And I'm pretty much citywide. And like I said, one of the things that we try to do is we try to educate people what a hate crime is because, we operate under the assumption that most hate crimes are not reported. And that's why we feel it's so important for people to know what a hate crime is. Because if they don't know what a hate crime is, how do they report it? And that means that it doesn't happen. Now, let me stop there for a second, see if anybody's got any questions. Yes, sir.
So who makes a designation that it's a hate crime? On first responders, or would it be the victim? Saying I feel that I was.
That's very important because if a victim knows their hate crimes and they feel that they've been targeted because they're Black, they're Asian, immigrant, that's very important to communicate that to the police officer on the spot. Because if they communicate that and they flag that down, it goes into the civil rights, and then the civil rights unit investigates it as a hate. For example, if you don't know what a hate crime is, for example, if the police show up and you just say, well, somebody kicked me and stole my wallet or whatever, they're not gonna be able to flag it down, so it never happened. But that was an incident.
So what's the victim that hate crime become?
No, there's an investigation, because there's gotta be some elements. I'm saying, for example, if I'm walking down the street, well, let's say, I'm on the north side, on Halsted Street, in Boyston, it's known as Boyston. And I'm walking around with a buddy, and somebody assumes that we're gay. And we're targeted, and people say we don't want gays here, we hate gays or whatever, and they assault us. And let me just tell you one thing, you don't have to be a member of that community in order to be a hate crime victim. Just the assumption that we're gay and the assault, and then the police are called. And I tell them, listen, we were assaulted because they thought we were gay. And then that's a red flag. But if we just say, hey, we're just walking around, they kick us around, and then it's just a bad. So it's very important to tell the police officer that's on the spot why you believe that you were. And then the civil rights unit will investigate. Great question. Yes, sir.
Can you come and use the microphone? Sorry. Maggie, I should have had you do that. Use the microphone. No, it's okay. there's another person coming to ask a question. Nope, we're good. I was just saying I should have had her go to the microphone, but please.
You know what we do encourage is for people to go to the police first. Because that way, and let me tell you, that's what we encourage people to do, go to the police first and let them document it. But sometimes it's happened where they call us. And what I ask them is give me the information and I'll send it to civil rights and they looked at it and it's come back as hate too. But we encourage folks to make your first line of defense is calling the police, even if you're a victim. And you're not sure if you were targeted because of your race or what have you, report it, and let the police investigate it. Because it's better to report than not to report. Victim support? Yeah. That's one of the jobs that we do. We do the victim support along with the police department. For example, we had a victim who was transgender victim who was assaulted. And as a matter of fact, Mexican trans female, she was assaulted and she was assaulted by gang members. So she started getting threats that she shouldn't go to court, et cetera, that they're gonna get to her and all that sort of stuff. So along with the police department, which they've been very good partners with us, we were able to find housing for her. We got her out of the neighborhood and we accompanied her to court so that she, so that we could, so that these individuals could be prosecuted. And one of the things also is that this female was undocumented. And when you are an undocumented immigrant, and if you're a victim of a hate crime or a crime in general, and you cooperate with the police, they can legalize your status. It's called a U visa. So we were able to get her housing. She was able to get the U visa, and now she's a legal.
Thank you for the question. Any other questions? Norman, I've got one. So, we've had, in the ward since I've been in office, we've had a few instances, and I think this was probably the first time that I met you, was when we had some racist graffiti, that had been, tagged on a local Black-owned business in the ward. Graffiti is, can also be a form of hate speech, and if it's graffiti and you're defacing, any property like that, that could also be charged as a crime. Am I correct about this? I'm looking at these two fine gentlemen next to me.
Yeah, that's correct. As a matter of fact, due to what's going on in Israel and Gaza, we've had hate crimes too. For example, we've had synagogues. So yeah, graffiti is also hate crimes. If it's directed, well, first of all, graffiti is a crime anyway.
Yes.
But if it's got that hate incentive, that hate motive, then yeah, it does become.
And that's an additional, like that sort of ups the charges, if I'm not mistaken. Right.
Class 4, it's a felony.
So I get oftentimes asked about crimes that are committed here in the Chinatown area, where Asian victims feel very targeted, but they are not necessarily apparent in terms of being a hate crime. So I just want to, I think this conversation is really great for sort of distinguishing between I don't call anything standard, but like a standard battery versus, someone's come out of a place and has called you a Chinaman or told you to go back to whatever country you came from and then punches you. That is an absolute hate. Versus someone just comes up and steals your purse because you look like an easy target. So I just wanted to be able in this environment talk about that as well. But with the new hate crimes ordinance, what's being done now that's different than before this ordinance was enacted?
Well, what we've done is that we added the hate incident component. Because, and I'll give you the definition of what a hate incident is. It's a non-criminal act that is motivated by bias against someone's race, color, gender, identity, age, religion, disability, national origin, ancestry or sexual orientation. So a crime hasn't happened. And what that added to it is because when hate incidents were happening in the community, you know, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, it wasn't being reported because it's not a crime. Now, these are being reported, so we encourage people that if you feel that you've been a victim of a hate incident, report it, because what happens, if there's enough hate incidents in a certain area of the city, in a certain community, in a certain ward, they can put a special attention to that particular area, because sometimes a hate incident, if there's enough hate incidents in an area, then that could lead to hate. So it's good to know, and we can analyze what's going on with that. For example, I don't know if you've heard that up on the north side, I don't think we had anything on the south side, but they've been leaving like little pamphlets on people's cars of an anti-Semitic nature. I don't know if you guys have heard that. Now, that in itself is not a hate crime, but now it's being reported. And now, once we get enough, and it happened, I think, in 4 or 5 wards, now that we know it's being recorded, we can see if we can do something about it, and the police will know about it also. I know that recently one of the aldermen, Timmy Knudsen, he sponsored legislation where they would, if people are caught doing that with a particular hate message, and they put it in people's cars, they can get stuck.
So, go ahead. David, can you come up and talk into the mic for the benefit of the people online? Sorry.
You can call 311. Yeah, 311, call 311. I always tell folks, and like the police officer, the sergeant was saying, Sergeant.
Mander.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
The man was saying, always use the police as your first line. Because you don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know if they have a weapon, you don't know what's going on. You know, always, if you don't have to engage with that person, don't engage with, call the police and they'll take care of it.
I just want to also give a shout out to Kevin Amaro, who's in the back there. He's with this amazing team with the translation software, but he's also he also works for the Anti-Hate Action Network that is housed at the Chinese American Service League. So he runs lots of programs that to fight hate in all communities, and not just here in Chinatown or the 11th Ward, but citywide. And the reason that they were established here was they are the Midwest, they're sort of the Midwest center for this, tracking hate incidents, because so many of them, I mean, we saw in the Asian American community during COVID, a really big increase in hate crimes, actual crimes, and definitely hate incidents that were not being tracked, and through lots of efforts. Reporting is really important for this data collection piece. And I'm really pleased that the city is doing more to get a better handle on hate incidents, because oftentimes it's those little things like, walking down the street in your own neighborhood and someone telling you to go home, or, someone complimenting you on how, oh, your English is great. When did you get here? Or, I mean, that's ignorance. That's not necessarily hate. But if someone comes back at you and sort of blames you for COVID or something like that, if you're Asian, which we saw a lot of during COVID, those would absolutely qualify as hate incidents that we would want to keep track of. And obviously, with ongoing conflicts and everything, we know that hate crimes and hate incidents based on religious affiliation, those are all on the rise. In fact, Sikhs, I believe, are the second most targeted right now, followed immediately by Muslims from a religious perspective, and Jewish individuals are at the top of that list right now. So with everything going on, there's a lot of hate going on. And I, for one, don't want to see that necessarily in our ward, which is why I invited, we're going to continue to engage with the Commission on Human Relations, and we'll look to them to continue to help us and help our community work through whatever sorts of conflicts we might have, and to really just educate people on how to be with each other, and, you know, they're great at helping to mediate and solve problems between neighbors too. So if you've got an issue with a neighbor, someone at Norman's department can help you, maybe not Norman directly.
But let me tell you, you also do this work because we're passionate. Because, you know, we live in a city, we have loved ones in this. And we want to make our agency work in the city the best it can. And it's hopefully someday a family member won't need to use those services. Whatever you do, we want the services to be there, because we find that it's very important. And, you know, it's number one priority. As a matter of fact, payments are going up. If this is gonna sound like an oxymoron, kind of excited, because now people are paying more attention. There was a time people didn't get attention to hate. Now they're paying attention. We're getting out there.
Thank you very much, Norman.
Thank you.
Now to our final. Well, I think we did the Q&A as we went along, so we're gonna go ahead to the presentation from the Horizon Science Academy. We have with us this evening a couple of guests, Dr. Chris Murphy, who's the Chief Strategic Growth Officer with Concept Schools, and Mr. Sayat, gonna run it, Vedziovsky. Or Mr. V, as he's known to the students. So I'm gonna turn the microphone over in just 1 second. I just want to tee this up. The reason that they are here today is because we wanted to be able to provide an introduction to the community. They have an interest in expanding their current footprint into the 11th Ward. So I wanted to be able to introduce them and have them talk about what they're looking to do, tell you a little bit about the school. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Murphy.
Thank you, Alderman. We appreciate you for
Yep,
inviting.
turn you on. Green light. Okay, let's see.
Hello,
There you go.
this way?
Yes.
Well, thank you again, Alderman Lee. Really appreciate you inviting us to come out tonight. And Commander, thank you for your time. And Norman, thank you for sharing everything about your programs as well. And thank you, everybody, for joining us as well. Principal V here, and got a number of our students down here in the front row from Horizon Science Academy. It's very exciting. And also happy Earth Day to everybody who celebrates. So thank you for coming out. So Horizon Science Academy is currently a K-12 school that is it's in McKinley Park. It's right on the corner of Pershing and Western. We've got about 900 students in that school right now, from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, and it's at max capacity. It is bursting at the seams. It is an award-winning school. It is a free and public charter school that is available to any student that lives within Chicago. And just as Alderman suggested, we are looking to expand our opportunities for the rest of the families here in the 11th Ward and moving into a space into Bridgeport. So we'll share a few details about that for you in just a moment. Next slide, please. To kind of back things up a little bit, and gentlemen, if you can just click through, go right ahead through this one slide. Thank you, right there is good. So just to help kind of set the table for us, to explain a little bit about what a charter school is. A charter public school, like Horizon Science Academy, is a free public school that is open to all students. It's a unique program that is allowed to have maybe a different sort of curriculum, or perhaps there could be a different sort of focus or emphasis at that particular school. Our school happens to focus on STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And as the students get older, from middle school into high school, we really focus on college preparation and supporting students for life outside of high school and beyond. All charter schools across the city and across the country are free and open to all students. There is no selective enrollment criteria whatsoever to enroll into a charter school, much like Horizon Science Academy. Next, please. A little more visual for you to help kind of understand where we fit into this puzzle as a charter school. Horizon Science Academy is one of more than 100 charter schools in Illinois. In Chicago, there are more than 100 charter schools. In Bridgeport, there are 0 high schools. And so we are in a place now to move our space into this area to open up our opportunities for our students. And if we look at this chart, we kind of see how it breaks down. A charter school has its own independent governing board that supports the operations of the school. In our case, we are authorized by the Illinois State Board of Education. Most charter schools in Illinois are in Chicago. Most charter schools are authorized by Chicago Public Schools. At Concept, I'm actually part of an organization. We have two schools that are partnered with CPS. McKinley Park, our Horizon Science Academy, is not. It's partnered with Illinois State Board of Education directly. So we work with ISBE to make sure that the school meets all the criteria, meets all the state standards, and is held accountable financially, operationally, and academically. And it's done very, very well. It's now in its 11th year of operations, and it is extremely high quality. It is noted as the #1 elementary school and #1 middle school in the state of Illinois, and it is one of the top 10 charter schools at the high school level in Illinois, all rated by US News and World Report. And so we have the authorizer on one side, leads up to our school board, which oversees the operations. I work for a group called Concept Schools, and we provide the academic, the operational, and the financial backbone for the school and support services. Once you come into the school, it looks very much like a traditional public school. Once you go in, it's run by a principal and his staff. We have all sorts of great people that do great things. We have teachers here. We have community engagement coordinators that work with our community and our family members as well. And so it's a very welcoming space when you get into that school. Next slide, gentlemen. So why is it that we are here having this conversation? Why do we want to move? Why do we want to expand? And frankly, it's quite simple. We're at max capacity. We're bursting at the seams. We have a wait list of students that want to enroll in our school. And when we do expand and we do move our high school into this new campus, we will offer up more college and career pathways for our high school students. We'll increase our college guidance program to ensure that our students have all the supports that they need and they're best prepared to attend one of the top colleges and universities in the country. We'll expand our extracurricular after-school athletic programs as well as the academic competitions. And really one of the main things is to create a high school experience for our students. Right now, it's a K-12 building. And if you remember high school, one of the few things that I would like to do is probably have some kindergartners walk through the school as well. It's just a unique experience that some of our students would like to have. If we do move that high school, we really will give them that unique opportunity. Looking at you guys, I'm sure that you can benefit from that as you get older. And so we would really like to create this true high school experience in the 11th Ward. And that will also allow us then to reintroduce some students that are in some modular buildings that are current campus and bring them back into the building that they're currently in. So our plan is to have our high school come to the Bridgeport campus, and we'll keep our K through 8th grade students at the current campus. And so that is our plan to do this, to expand all the opportunities for all students in Chicago. Next slide, please. To give you an idea of where our students are coming from, it's kind of hard to see up on the top side, but just to give you an idea, the blue dots are students that are currently enrolled. And you can see those 2 blocks there that are marked off. So we have the 12th ward that's in blue, and we have the orange, which is the 11th ward currently. So currently we have dozens of students that already enroll at the Science Academy. And the students that are marked in red are students that are waitlisted, that they couldn't get in because we are already at capacity. And if you look very closely, there are some yellow dots on there that surround the 12th and the 11th ward. Those are the current Chicago public schools that are in the area. There is no Chicago public school or high quality high school in the 11th Ward. By moving into our campus, which we propose at the Lourdes Hall campus, that's currently occupied by former the De La Salle Institute at St. Mary's Perpetual Help, that's where we're looking to move in, dead center in the 11th Ward, to provide an opportunity for the Bridgeport community, all family members from the 11th Ward, and all families from across Chicago to enroll at one of the best high schools in the city. Next slide, please. This is a glimpse of what the campus looks like right now. So my friend John Robinson from the De La Salle Institute right there and his team have kept this building in great, great shape for the past few years. It is vacant right now. This is a facility that is open. It's ready for move-in right now. There's the pictures of the classrooms. There's a wonderful library, beautiful gym space. And we're looking at the whole school that we will move our high school students into to start with the fall of 2025. That is our intention, move into this place here. And so the Lourdes Hall partnership with St. Mary's of Perpetual Help. Father Tom Aschenbrenner is also a great supporter of our program as well as our friends from the De La Salle Institute. Next slide, gentlemen. The timeline, to give you an idea of where we're at today. This is just an opportunity to meet and thank you again, Alderwoman Lee. This is the first of many opportunities for us to communicate with you and seek feedback, ask questions, answer your questions. We'll have you come visit our school. Eventually, you can visit the new location as well. And this is just now an opportunity to seek input and to provide information to the community. Horizon Science Academy will submit its application for this expansion in this fall, October. And we expect the Illinois State Board of Education to rule in our favor right around December or January of this coming winter season. And then in the fall of 2025, so not this fall, in 2 years, we will have our high school students move into Lourdes Hall and start their high school pathway. Next slide, please.
Hey everyone. For joining today, and I just wanted to give you like a personal like touch because I'm there every day since 2013. I started as an assistant principal, and right now I'm the principal student. This is my 4th year, and this is one of the most exciting opportunities for our students that are right up here in the front row. I also wanted to introduce one of our staff members. She's a former alumni. She's a staff member and this big our outreach. So please feel free after this to just go speak up. We have some items for you as well. But this is a table that sheets for expansion. So we're currently tonight for the students and we'll find first close to 1,200. As you can see, our building is going to stay at 723. 60 students as we can work campus. If we expand to facilities, bring them success and into report and then move school. So this is the plan. You can see the growth. We start first year 2020, and 70 students in 5 years. So we're going to start with a larger freshman group that keep growing sophomore until we get the senior year. So that's our expansion. Next slide.
So as I mentioned at the outset, Horizon Science Academy is part of a much larger network of public charter schools from across the Midwest. Concept Schools is a nonprofit charter management organization, and we're sort of like the traditional back-end office for a school district. And so in our offices, we have the entire team of academic directors, financial operators, our superintendent, Mr. Serdar Kartal, right off on the side as well. He keeps an office in that space, and we help oversee the entire network of schools. We have National Blue Ribbon Award-winning schools. A Stanford study from just this past summer came out and said that Concept Schools is a gap-busting, award-winning charter management organization, which means that we take a look at subgroups of students. These are students of poverty, these are students of color, these are students of need, and we close those achievement gaps faster than traditional public schools do across the country. And so we're doing it right, we're doing it well, and we want to bring this opportunity to the Bridgeport community. Slide, please.
Strategies that expansion projects. So this is one of our key points to just how to keep one. We've already all forward. So we heard office, she's actually speaking at our graduation. We're also speaking to so we usually posted our say us out and say very spiritual leadership. And this is how we together for advising in terms of like what's going to happen in to this school. They're probably wondering. So we're trying to get feedback to make sure that all questions are answered so we can have this logistical change happening in school, which is going to be thing because we really need space and this
Next slide, please. And so this is an opportunity now for you to share some of your thoughts, share your feedback, share some of your questions that you may have. That is a live QR code. We do encourage you to come on up and grab a flyer as well. So if you'd like to share your feedback or ask a question online later on, you may do that as well. But Horizon Science Academy in McKinley Park is one of the best schools in Chicago, and we are proud to bring this new opportunity to all students of Chicago. It is free and open to all, but especially to all of those students that live within the 11th ward. We really do look forward to bringing this opportunity to you all. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Sorry, man. Tough crowd.
You're getting the applause. Is it because they brought merch or swag? So thank you, Dr. Murphy. Thank you, Mr. B. You know, I've only recently gotten to know Horizon Science Academy. I'm very interested in the opportunity to bring a high school to the ward. I've spoken a lot about, the need for a good quality high school option for our students that live right here. Where they won't have to travel, quite as far, and as you can tell, there's demand for the school. So, we are coordinating events to make sure that the community has an ample opportunity to get to know the school, to, express concerns that they may have. That building has been vacant for some time now, much to De La Salle's chagrin, I'm sure. But I think, it will bring a layer of vitality back into the neighborhood as well. There was a school there for a long time, and I think it would be a win-win, to see this school become a reality. I'm continuing to listen, to the community, hoping to have, some more engagement, some, more engagement right in the neighborhood, talking to Armor School that's right there as well as some of the other neighbors, but I really appreciate that you came out this evening, that you brought some students. Can we introduce the students that are here? They've been so good, sitting so patiently.
Okay, this is one, and he is in third.
That was Angel in seventh grade. Get their name. Future high schooler. Oh my goodness.
I think that I'm doing the opportunity for community to.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you bringing your entire family, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, gosh. Where's your- All right, so for those of you who are not in the room, you might be seeing it on the camera. We have an entire family, 6 people, 6 children, and all 6 have either gone or are currently attending Horizon Science Academy. So thank you so much for being here. Do we have any questions in the audience? Yes. Matt, can you come up to the microphone, please? Oh, you have a question. Okay, go ahead. Okay. There's a question about a hate crime, so I'm just gonna repeat it so that we make sure everybody hears it. That is a great question.
That is an awesome.
I mean-
question. If a hate is online, if you can report to the police. We've had some folks that have been victims of hate. It's been reported to the police, and I know that once there are, correct me if I'm wrong, things happen. That the FBI gets involved in that too, because sometimes we've had people be and they were in another state. And the FBI was able to track them down, so that's an awesome question.
Thank you so much for that question. Gotta meet that one now.
All of it. These things. Press. It's like in your South High School or.
I wouldn't say that it's an alternative. I have not heard anything more from CPS about the near South High School, unfortunately. While I haven't heard anything officially, just understanding the current fiscal situation that CPS finds itself in and the couple of contracts that are yet to be negotiated, I really don't see a scenario in the near future where we're gonna bring that conversation back. So I continue to look for opportunities though, for educational opportunities for our ward, and I do think that this could be a good one.
And question for. Either fund, it's for. Which. So.
I'm just gonna repeat the question real. For those of you that are online, the question that was asked is what are the current language supports that are offered to students and households for whom English is not their first language?
Sure, just globally speaking, all charter schools, all students, regardless of background, education or English as second language, learn needs. Many of our students speak many, specifically on one in terms of
Yeah. Sorry. But for some numbers for. That are probably. Report and these staff are. Make sure. And currently, you know. Students. Access states that. Pretty much do the same thing by. That's it, out of the classroom.
I'll also add that as a charter school, we are really entrenched in the community and we try and find as many programs that already exist and offer other spaces, whether it's after school or on the weekend. So if there's a Chinese school program that just needs another facility, there's another bilingual program that needs space. We really do want to find those partnerships within the community to make sure that we can expand all those opportunities to all community members.
David, you've got a question?
I was pretty thinking about.
Yes, also. I guess one yes, that maybe your student college students. To by range of. Even. This time.
That's a great opportunity.
We'll make sure that we do. If you wouldn't mind sharing the information, David, or having someone from CBCAC reach out, we'll make sure that everybody gets connected, because I think that is a great point, and I think Mr. V is gonna respond to some of them.
Which offers. Like. Certified staff. Research in the school and. School. That's certified, which is the. Certified school to. And. This is the perfect way to hands-on to these fun. So we're definitely. Banner. Or to just. So we're by the time someone graduates from school. Most of their measures. Our sister school, so there, almost is done. Which is you get to do. Grass, the space to do this because right up the so and this is one of our goals is to track it. Since right now, offer which gives us a very small class size, which makes us, that's a little bit big, right? So these are some of the things that as as successful.
And just to remind everybody, I know your plan would be to cycle it to sort of phase in the classes. What would the max capacity that you're looking at right now or you're projecting be?
We actually have a slide, gentlemen, if you mind going back slide, we can take a look at that projection. I don't want to tell you, I don't remember, it's quickly down here too.
Have it here.
So our maximum enrollment we're looking at the school itself.
400.
The maximum that we have at the Lourdes Hall campus would be 425 students. And so David,
7.
I'm sorry, 470, thank you, 470 students. So David, to your question about being a small school, it still is a very small school, but that will allow for about 125 students per grade level. And that is a great space for high school. That's from my experience as a former high school teacher as well and former administrator in traditional public school systems. And then we'll cap out at 729 at the Pershing campus. So 729 will stay at the campus that currently exists in K-8 and a maximum capacity of 470 at the Lourdes Hall campus for high school.
Can I just? That any. Your first person going to college, student is the first person going to educate instead of I so we make dreams interesting. Any more questions?
Thank you again, Alderman Lee. We really appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight, for participating online. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Let's go some more things.
Sorry about that. It's not been. The one of the things that we also notice is that there's cyberbullying. You know, so I just want to let kids know that if you feel that you're being cyberbullied, tell them to go for your parent. You know, and for the parents, it's always good to have communication with the kids because this younger generation, they live in a whole different world than we did. You know, like when we were going to schools and doing educational stuff and the kids were talking about cyberbullying, they were educating me too. So it's very important to have that open line of communication and for the kids also to talk to your parents if you're being cyberbullied because that's.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you for the really great question. That was awesome. And thank you for all coming this evening and for your engagement. We'll be here for a few minutes. If you want to ask questions, please feel free to chat with the folks from Horizon. And we'll see you at the next meeting next quarter. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a good night.
What's that?
By the